sister just randomly told me that if you're struggling to find something to read, just write it. And I think that thought just sparked something in me. So I've dealt with topics such as school, friendship, bullies, pranks, all of that. But Truth is a full-fledged fiction novel. I didn't know what's gonna be like. And then as I entered, the entire room was full of people twice my age. So for me, I struggled to find platforms that were genuinely interested in sharing the stories of young people, of young authors, change makers. I created the youth stories so that young people who were like me could now have a platform where they come share their voices, share their stories, share their experiences. We need stories of failures, of grit, of people who failed but then had the courage to start again. So I think we need to share imperfect stories of the youth. What I believe in is you can be a student as well as a founder, as well as an author. You don't need to choose one. As young kids, we're lost. We're trying to figure out our own self, as well as then we're trying to build something that will be consumed by everybody. Gen Z as a generation is somebody who are not people who will easily bow down to stigmas and what people want them to do. Instead, they'll do what they have to do.
Hi, Risha, and welcome to the About Her Show, a show where we get trailblazing women to, share the story of their lives with us, to tell us about their successes, failures, ups and downs, challenges, all of it, so that not only do they get a platform to showcase themselves, but they also give us an opportunity to inspire other women. Women who are listening in, other women who have dreams, ambitions, but for some reason, they're not able to pursue those dreams or follow those dreams. So we feel that women like you, young girls like you, can be a huge source of inspiration. And along with women, we also get men on the show because we believe that for a truly gender inclusive world, men and women need to be allies in this journey. Now, I'm talking about trailblazing women, and you at such a young age have blazed so many trails. The fact that you have written, you have this movement. I mean, at such a young age, to be able to know what you want to do and then actually do it. It is definitely, credible. And I think kudos to you for, like I said, thinking of doing this and then actually doing it. So, of course, there is no way that we could not have someone like you on the show. So, once again, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And I think the pleasure is truly mine to be on this show. I've been following you for about quite a while now. And I've
Okay.
seen your the podcast, and I actually came across it a few months back. And at that time, I told my mom that, Mom, this is one podcast I really, really want to go to. And then somehow we spoke, and then you were kind enough to have me. So thank you so much for that.
You're more than welcome, and it's a pleasure for us to have you. Okay, so let's dive in and with the first question. So, as I understand, you published your first novel at the age of 11. Now, my
Yes.
question is, what sparked that passion for writing so early, and what kept it alive through your teenage years?
So I've been an avid reader since my childhood, and if there's any memory I have, is me sitting with my nose in a novel and reading.
Mhm.
And one day, me and my sister were at the library, and we were trying to find novels to read, but somehow we didn't really find something that fit our age genre. So we had novels for young adults, so those were romances and sorts, and then we had novels for young children, which were like Enid Blyton, Geronimo Stilton, and all of that.
Mhm.
So so we were just talking, and my sister just randomly told me that if you're struggling to find something to read, just write it. And I think that thought just sparked something in me. And I'd always wanted to write. So I blogged on Facebook through my mom's account.
Mhm.
And so I had that passion to write. And then when she said this, it was like, well, maybe I should. And then I spoke to my mom about it, and she's like, sure, if you want to do it, let's do it. And then somehow, I don't know, I didn't even know how it started, but I just started writing. And then that passion to writing somehow turned into me wanting my own name on a published piece of work.
Wow.
And I think that transition just happened. And that's how my first novel came to be.
Wow, that's wonderful. And actually, this actually proves that, every good writer is a reader. So it is
Yeah.
actually your reading which led to writing. So, first of all, of
Yeah.
course, kudos to your mom as well, who exposed you to books and reading at a young age, which I think most parents should kind of get
Yeah.
inspiration from and do it with their children. All right. So, of course, your first book came. And then, how did your second novel, which is called Truce, evolve creatively compared to your first book? And was the writing process or the inspiration any different?
It was completely different. So with Tales, which is my first novel, it is actually a non-fiction novel. And in that, I've just compiled aspects of a tween's life. So a tween is somebody from the ages of 9 to 12. So I've dealt with topics such as school, friendship, bullies, pranks, all of that. But Truth is a full-fledged fiction novel, and
Hmm.
it is the story of five friends. Each one of them has a specific issue in life. Some deals with self-expression, some with body image, some with health, some with friendships. And it's their story of how they start off as troubled young people and their story of finding truth or peace with themselves and their issues.
Okay.
And that's how the story progresses. And actually, the inspiration for each of these five characters drove from each of my friends,
Okay.
because I believe as humans we are distinct personalities and we have stories of our own. So why not inculcate those into a fiction piece of writing? And that's how Truth came to be. And Truth actually took me quite a while. I started writing when I was, I think, 12 and a half,
Okay.
and it came out when I was about to be 14.
Okay.
So it was quite a long process.
But wonderful. So you're basically what you're saying is that you drew inspiration from people around you. So I'm
Yes, I
sure
did.
people who read it, young kids who read it, they could resonate with it because it was based
Yes.
on your experiences with your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is a sure shot, recipe for success when it comes to writing because people should be able to relate to what you are, what you've written. All right. So now, so you've been, of course, writing now for a while. So my question is that can you share a defining moment when you realized your voice had the power to create impact through storytelling?
I think that experience came when I spoke at the Indore Literature Festival.
Hmm.
So that is Central India's largest lit fest, and it's held in my city every year.
Okay.
And I was asked to be a guest speaker when I was 13.
Wow.
And when I went, I was extremely nervous, extremely scared. I didn't know what's gonna be like. And then as I entered, the entire room was full of people twice my age.
Yeah.
I didn't even see kids. So that I think that first experience of being the youngest person in the room and not even the youngest person, the youngest speaker in the room was something that really that's the first moment I understood, okay, maybe what I'm doing is right. And maybe I've achieved something. So that I think put me on the track where I started reaching out to more people to share my story, to do more interviews, to that more media. I think so that really defined my journey.
Okay. So the first time that you got exposed and you realized, and actually
Yes.
at such a young age, when you've done something like this, obviously it is very, very impactful and like I said earlier, very, very inspirational as well. And then, of course, the youth story happened, right?
Mhm.
So, what inspired youth story, and what kind of stories do you feel the world needs to hear from young people today?
I think so. With the youth story, the whole idea started off with my experiences as an author. As I mentioned, after the Let Fest, I started reaching out to people for like news channels, podcasts, interviews, magazines, all of that.
Hmm.
But I rarely got responses. So if I sent out 100 mails, I got about 2 to 3 back, and then out of those 2 to 3, one was interested, and then that was also paid. So for me, I struggled to find platforms that were genuinely interested in sharing the stories of young people, of young authors, change makers. So that I think create something that you want to see. That happened with my novel and with the youth story as well. So I always craved for that platform, and thus I created the youth stories so that young people who were like me could now have a platform where they come share their voices, share their stories, share their experiences as well. And I think coming to the second part,
Yeah.
about the kind of stories, I don't think we need stories such as what the mainstream media covers. We need stories of failures, of grit, of people who failed but then had the courage to start again. So I think we need to share imperfect stories of the youth, and that's what I'm trying to share.
But that is so true because everybody, wants to look good, wants to portray
Yeah.
only the good things, but the good things are few and far between. It is the not so good things, the bad things, the imperfect things, which are actually the reality. So the fact
Mhm.
that you talk about them, you highlight them, shows that your platform is real and people
Yeah.
know that it's okay to fail. If somebody else
Yeah.
has failed and if I have also failed, it's perfectly fine. So there is a lot of, how should I say, there's a realistic element to what you are
Mhm.
doing. So I think that's why, obviously it will resonate with a lot of people because
Mhm.
failure is a very, very essential part of our lives and it is failure which helps you grow.
Yeah.
So great, great going. So tell me, we're talking about young people being heard and young change makers. So when you're trying to get their voice heard, then what do you think are the biggest barriers young change makers face when trying to create meaningful impact?
I think the first is their age itself, because in society, especially in India, I'd say young people are tend to be kind of underestimated. You're just told to study to first get into a good college and then see what you want to do.
Mm,
So young people who start off early, and that's something that I dealt with too. A lot of my people around me told me to stop writing and just study, that good grades. But what I believe in is you can be a student as well as a founder as well as an author. You don't need to choose one.
yeah.
So first, the that stigma that they deal with age. Second is obviously access to opportunities, because as young kids we're lost. We're trying to figure out our own self, as well as then we're trying to build something that will be consumed by everybody. So
Mm,
at a phase when you don't even know yourself, how do you create something that is known to everybody? So that confusion, that lack of access, and I think those are two that I've and then also time, because as students we're so burdened with everything, so you have to deal with exams, with school, with everything, and then on top of that trying to build something new. So it's a constant challenge.
I totally get it. I mean, the age factor definitely because we are also, all burdened with with these societal norms which are so deeply embedded that you have to be a certain age, a certain stage before you start doing something like this. So definitely there is no age and stage. It is when you want to do it. And I think if you can learn early in life how to do two to three
Mhm.
things at a time,
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, you are young, you're energetic, and yes, time is an issue, but then you learn to manage time also.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
as you grow up, you in any case have to do it. So why not start early? I think it's excellent. I mean, that you're doing it and like, inspiring others. So tell me when you are, trying to get these young adults to be on your platform. So how do you choose or discover these people, who you feature, and what qualities or stories catch your attention?
I think there's only one word answer to it, that's social media. So the
Hmm,
way that I found you and your podcast is
hmm,
how I find these young people as well. And
hmm,
I think we're blessed to be Gen Z, to be the social media generation.
hmm.
So why not use it well? So I just shoot messages to these people. I write them emails. I find them on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and all these platforms. So that's how I find them. And sorry, what was the second part?
So what qualities, I mean, what stories catch your attention?
I think I don't really have a criteria as to what fits the bill. If you're somebody who has a voice, or who wants to be heard, or you have an idea that you want to share, I think the platform's open.
Mm.
And I don't want to restrict it, but sure, I just want people who are passionate, who have an idea, and who not only have an idea but are also working on it, and
Yes.
who have something tangible that they're building. Yeah.
Correct. So basically, trying to figure out the seriousness. It's not just for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
You have to be
Yeah.
really passionate and serious about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And yes, you're
Right.
right. I mean, this is a platform because, like you said earlier, also young people find it difficult to find a platform. In fact, everybody
Yeah.
finds it difficult to find a platform. So, yes, by creating this, you are creating this opportunity for them. Yes, like I said, for which you need to be applauded. Now, as I read about you, so you come from a family of finance professionals, and then you yourself are headed towards a finance career.
Yeah.
So you're talking about time earlier. So my question is, how do you balance all these worlds? The world of finance with your identity as a writer and a creator?
All right. I definitely struggle with it. It's not something I've kind of dealt with at the moment as well. But I think something that I've learned
Hmm.
in this journey, students, is that you have to learn to sacrifice at times. So I've had to sacrifice a few of my fun and sometimes with my friends, as I spend so much time with my family, with the work, with writing. So I think be ready to sacrifice some things for to that something else. And then second, I think if you just manage your time well, I
Yeah.
think we have 24 hours, and if you just sit down to jot and plan your day, I think it's very much possible. And it's not rocket science at all you need is to just cut your distractions as much as you can and stop watching reels and read. I think that's all you can do.
Nailed it. My question is, are you really 18? You
I
sound
am I
much older because so mature, so
do.
clear in your thinking. Because, these are things which people, even who are much older, maybe, 10 times or not 10 times, I mean, 10 years older than you would find
Mm.
it difficult. I mean, they're struggling with it, prioritizing and being willing to leave out the fun and frolic of life. A lot of people can't do it. And if you at 18 not only know that you can do it, but are doing it, hats off to you. It's
Thank you.
really, really something that, like I said, people are struggling all the time. So tell me, when you're talking about Gen Z, about the young people, do you think the young people today are pressured to choose between passion and practicality? How are they navigating this?
Oh, definitely. I think, especially as young people, a as I mentioned before, we lack clarity. We don't even know what we want.
Hmm.
We were interested in something for a few days, and then we lose interest, and then we're just in that phase where we're trying to create an identity for our own self.
Hmm.
But then we also have so then I think people around us also have opinions as to this is what you should do. I think this is something that you should pursue. These are the job options. This is what you do for college. So I think you're just bombarded with so much opinions,
Hmm.
and I think somewhere in that noise you tend to lose what you actually want.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so struggling to stick to your inner voice, I think, is really really important. And I think especially when you choose something which is creative, I think you face that stigma more, because then you have so many questions of, will this work out, will you be able to earn money, is
Hmm.
there stability? So those stigmas do come along as well. But I think Gen Z as a generation is somebody who are not people who will easily bow down to stigmas and what people want them to do. Instead, they'll do what they have to do. So,
Right.
so I think as a generation, we have that authority to say that, okay, this is what I want and this is what I'll do, even if you don't want me to do it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think we struggle, but then we've also found a way through it.
Great, great.
Yeah.
So that courage of conviction is what you have.
Yes.
Of course, there
Yes.
is a lot of noise and it is difficult because, yes, it is a choice between being practical, and as probably the adults around you say, and then passion. But then, if you know, if you're convinced about what you want to do, then you will stick to it no matter what. That's really heartening to know. So tell me now, of course, 11 to 18 and moving on. And of course, you faced, like you said, as the age factor has been something which has kind of posed challenges for you. But then what about your gender? Now, as a young woman who's carving her path in both literature and finance, what unique challenges have you encountered and how have you overcome them, or how are you trying to overcome them?
I think as women, subjected to a few more stigmas, because I've had a few people say that you're a young girl, you should not be. So I've done a few interviews with um elder men or people who are in their 20s and 30s. So I've had people say that as a young girl you should not be speaking to them, or you should have safety. You're on social media, so you should be very wary of what you do. You can't really express your thoughts. Like, I think I've felt certain people have tried to restrict me, not from my family, of course,
Hmm?
people in general.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think as young girls as well, I think we're very confused, is what I think. And I've also had people say to me that you're a girl, you should not be writing, or you're too early to start something new. Just focus on your studies, just keep your head at home, is
Mhm.
what I've heard as well. So I think Indian society, or the society in general, tends to keep women at home
Yes.
and keep them with a one-sided perspective. But I think again, it's 2025, and those stigmas still there are very weak. So I think I've learned how to deal with it. I've also had a few comments about I've also been bullied by my own friends or people in my class, where they try to shame me for, like, for writing, or they thought that I was arrogant or overconfident. So I've had those criticisms from my friends as well.
I can
But
imagine.
I think those experiences have shaped me. But I think if as women we struggle, there's also a beauty in being female. And I think I'm very proud to be a girl, and I'm very proud to be able to do what I do despite being a girl. And I think something that's allowed me to do that is my family,
Yeah.
because I've never faced any restrictions, any stigma from my family, at least. So I
Hmm.
think that has kept me going.
So, like, they give you all the support. So, you see, the
Yeah.
outside world is full of different kinds of people who'll all
Yes.
have opinions, who'll all judge you or whatever. But then they can go
Mhm.
on doing it as long as you have your safety net, as
Yeah.
long as you have people around you, your people around you.
Yes.
And yes, people will say all kinds of things. And though, of course, we are making strides as far as, gender equity and all that is concerned, but it is, like you said, in 2025, and people are still have those stigmas and those beliefs that girls cannot do this, women cannot do this.
Yeah.
But yes, women like you and I, we have to keep doing it and telling them that we are here to do it, whether you like it
Yeah.
or you don't.
Yeah.
All right. So you've mentioned that you have felt, that maybe underestimated because of your age or
Yeah.
gender or both. So tell me, has there been any particular moment which turned this entire process of underestimation into strength for you?
I think I didn't gain strength in one experience. I think I've gained it bit by bit in steps.
Hmm.
And I think one very defining moment for me, when I started off, I was very underconfident.
Hmm.
I'd also say embarrassed of my novels, and I wasn't as vocal, as proud as I should have been.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think that I remember a conversation with my mom where she told me that you write for you, not for the world. So stop thinking about what others are saying, what they feel, what the response have been. Just stick to what you're doing, keep writing, keep doing, and maybe you will reach that point where you want to be at a point of time. So I think just my mother just sitting me down and saying that you got this has been that moment when I was like, okay, maybe I I can do it. Yeah.
Yes. I really wish that more girls had mothers like your mother. Because that is what you need, somebody like that who validates you, who is there to support you, to hold you when the rest of the world is probably, saying things against you or moving against you. So I think I can see, this coming into you. It's genetic, it's coming from your mom. So kudos to her as well. So tell me, of course, you are, like I said, a source of inspiration to many, many young girls, the Gen Z. But I'm sure there are people, there are women who you draw inspiration from. So if you could look at your life, then tell me which young women, maybe writers, leaders, or change makers, do you look up to or draw inspiration from?
I would say my mom,
Mm.
because I've mentioned her so much, and I think who I am or who I will be or who I want to be is all because of her. Because even my mom has been somebody who's faced stereotypes and who's had a tough path, and despite that, she's carved a name for herself in her field of work. So I
Mhm.
think just having that pillar of strength at home is very very important. And I think another person who I draw inspiration for is my grandmother, and she's the one who actually inculcated that love of stories in me, because I as a child used to sleep with her, and then she used to tell me all these stories, and from there is my love from stories with them. And as far as people not from my family, I was personally very influenced by um, Indira Gandhi, because as a young girl, I dreamt of being the prime minister of this nation, and I know that's not going to happen. But I think
No, you never know.
just her story was something very very inspirational to me, where despite where she faced so much, she held India at a time where it was so turbulent, so political, and to be a female and go into war and win that war, and then also hold the fort down at home. And also I know she's kind of controversial for her choices, but I think all women are black and white, so she's there as well. But I think just the strength that she had in a time where women were not taken seriously to lead a nation, and a nation in that situation, I think really really inspires me.
Wonderful. And you're right, she is inspirational because considering the times when she became the prime minister so many years ago, and like you said, led the nation, to victory in a war. And then, of course, it's politics. There are going to be controversies. I mean, that's part and parcel of life. But look at that, in those days, where some of the, Western countries, if you look around, they still have not been able to have a woman leader. So it
Yeah.
not only speaks of the country, but of maybe, the women as well. You can't say, but then kudos to her. All
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
So tell me, this is a question that I normally ask in the opposite way.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you how. But my first, I'll say what the question is, and I'll tell you how I ask it in the opposite way. The question is that if you could write a letter to your 25-year-old self, what would you want her to remember about the 18-year-old Risha today? Now, normally I would ask a 35-year-old one to, I mean, what would they tell their 18-year-old
Yes.
self? But in your case, it's the opposite. Yeah. So,
I think as I'll grow up, I'll change, but I think something that I want my 25, 40, 80-year old self to remember is the passion I have,
mhm,
and is to just do what I do,
mhm.
and not let any other factors, be it family, be it friends, be it anybody, not let dim my light.
Wow.
And just I think draw inspiration from the strength that even the 8-year old me had, the 11-year old me had, and now I think as an 18-year old I do have some strengths. So I can just stick to that, and I think as I grow, I just want to make that 8-year-old girl happy who just wanted to have a novel. And I think everything I do is for her, and everything I want to do is for her as well.
Wow. Wonderful. Wonderful. What a wonderful answer. So, All the best to you, and I'm sure we are going to see so many more books and novels from you, and we'll see you on so many other platforms, not only, expressing yourself, but letting other people, giving an opportunity to other people also to express themselves. All the best to you. So, Risha, while we have come to the end of the conversation, this is not the end of the show. We still have the rapid fire round, which is 5 quick questions and 5 quick answers. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
All right. So, the first question, one word that describes your journey so far.
Roller coaster.
Wow. All right. The next one, a woman who inspires you deeply.
My mom.
I knew this is going to be the answer, and it should be the answer as well. All right. The next one stereotype about Gen Z you'd love to break.
That we're lazy. We're not.
Yes, a lot of people think like that. Okay, the next one book or movie that changed your perspective.
My own.
Oh,
If I can say that.
all right. So, Insta or LinkedIn or real conversations? What do you prefer?
All. I don't want to choose.
Very good. So this is the end of the rapid fire round and the question answer session also. So how should I say? I mean, I am far, far away from being a Gen Z. And I also come with my set of, how should I say, beliefs and maybe prejudices too about them. But you've managed to clear so many of them, because we generally tend to believe what we want to believe. And here, I think by having you on the platform, I've been able to, how should I say, enable you to speak something which has changed my perceptions also. And it's so good to know. Because, one thing in particular that you mentioned was that the myth about the Gen Z, that they're lazy. Most people say that, but they're not. And you said, that if they have the courage of conviction, they can do anything. So, you have to look at them not from your perspective, but from their perspective. And I think that'll make the world a much happier place. So thank you so much. It was indeed a pleasure to have you. And the moment you reached out, I just knew that I had to have you on my platform. And I'll tell you something. For me, to be told by somebody from the Gen Z that they want to be on my show is an honor itself. So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the About Her Show. If you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more from where that came from. Our previous guests have shared some amazing stories, so be sure to catch up on past episodes. To keep up with our inspiring conversations and to never miss an update, hit subscribe, rate, review, and share the love. Follow us on social media for some great content, and don't forget to check out our website www.aboutherbysangeeta.com for stories that resonate, inspire, and empower. Know a remarkable woman or an inspiring man blazing a trail? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a note at web.abouther@gmail.com and let's bring their story to life on the About Her Show.